It's time for the Witchy Weather Report. How are we feeling? I am Rory from Sassafras Tarot, and I am here to witchily report on the weather of the week. I hope everyone is having a beautiful day. As always, I'm going to pop some banners up and share this in one or two places. And while I'm waiting for folks to tune in for the broadcast, by the way, if you're watching the replay, hello, how are you? I'm going to call attention to this wonderful snail on my shirt. It was drawn by my cousin, Delia Stanley. And the feminist Barbies joined. That must mean Nico. Hi, Nico. So my cousin Delia drew this amazing snail on my shirt. And it is a reminder to me. She has sent me several snails over the years, maybe pointedly, I don't know, to slow down, to move forward. That slow growth is sustainable growth. It's the new moon. The moon is about to start waxing, and this is a time when it's really a good time to think about intentions. And I have been learning the lesson, and I pass it on to you. How do I want to say this? That you can't do all the things at once, and trying to actually makes you move slower. I can attest to this. Being an incredibly busy person has made things happen slower in my life, not faster. But there is a part of my brain that's like, if I'm not busy, I'm not productive. So be one with the rad snail and know that slow growth is sustainable growth. It is time to go at your own pace. I see I have someone tuned in. If you're tuned in, drop a comment and say hello. As always with the Witchy Weather Report, if you would like me to pull a card for you, because I will be doing one card pulls today, just drop a cat in the chat. Either put a cat emoji in the chat or write the word meow if you can't get to the emoji keyboard. And I will pull a card for you. That is our secret code for Rory, please pull a card for me, is dropping a cat in the chat. And the reason is that we get spammers. If people just say, hey, can you pull a card for me? Then invariably we get creepy spammers trying to sell readings to people, and that's not nifty at all. It's the opposite of nifty. Ooh, I got a meow from Nico. It's so good to see you. All right, so I'm shuffling. I'm going to be reading today with the Crystal Visions Tarot, gifted to me by my friend Brittany. It's a beautiful deck. I absolutely love it. It's all pinky and purpley and pretty. So first I'll be pulling a card for everyone from the deck. That's how I usually do it. Courtney, oh my gosh, so good to see you. Meow. Good morning, Judith. How are you? I love seeing all the regulars tune in and some of the not regulars tune in. I love the Witchy Weather Report. So you know, we do this every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, which is 8 a.m. Pacific time. Whew, that's like earlier than I want to get up 8 a.m. And let's see, other times in other places I get 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time if you're in the UK. And every week I will pull a card for the whole group about just what's the weather, the Witchy Weather Report. What's the weather for this coming week? And then for as long as I can, I limit it to an hour, 11 to 12. I will pull cards for anyone who asks up until that time. So, and the way we do that, like I said, is drop a cat in the chat. And if you throw a cat in there, or a cat emoji, or type the word meow, I will know to pull a card for you and you'll be in the queue. So for starters, what I want to talk to you guys about today is that we just had a new moon this past Friday. And if you were in my manifesting challenge, it's now over. We had a new moon to new moon manifesting challenge. The new moon means that it is time to begin again with an intention or goal. And I always encourage people to take the first few days of the new moon, and rather than jumping into like, woo, goal setting, here's what I'm going to do, which is what I have a natural tendency to do. I'm a Virgo. I am Ms. To-do list. Rather than jump right into like, well, what do I want? And what should I want? And what should my goals be this month? To kind of float in the space of the dark moon a little bit and allow yourself to get in touch with everything, with yourself, with what feels like it's missing in your life, with what feels like it's good in your life, and allow yourself to kind of naturally come to an intention if you're not sure what it is. The intention might just be, for me this month, and this is hard for me because again, I'm a Virgo and I'm a to-do list person. For me this month, my intention is to stay on the path. I have long-term goals that I'm very committed to. This is part of it. Sassafras Tarot is a part of it. Live streaming is a part of it. Um, and for me right now, I don't need some big thing to happen during this month. I just need to stay on the path and keep doing what I know I am meant to be doing. And that's my goal, you know? Sometimes we can get distracted by things like vanity numbers and like productivity porn. I Is that a weird thing to say? Do you know what I mean? Like where you see other people's timelines and you're like, "Oh god, look at what they're doing. They're on vacation. They're living their best life. They just got an award for something. They're having like a really successful gig it looks like. Look at that photo. They look so good. How did they do that?" And it can be really like it's the keeping up with the Joneses of the 2020s. You know what I mean? Like it used to be um keeping up with the Joneses used to be about like your next door neighbors, and now it's our Instagram feed, right? It's like, wow, look at what they're doing. What am I supposed to be doing right now? I must be really behind. And I urge you to set goals from a place of not feeling behind, but from a place of being deeply in touch with what's meaningful to you and building on your existing successes. Because I promise you, you have successes and resources to build on. And let that be your new moon focus for this week. Allow yourself to think about what you truly want in life and how far you've already come. I really am all about giving ourselves credit for progress made. All right. I'm gonna pull a card for us all. I see a couple people in the chat. If you're watching, if you're tuned in, say hi. Let me know. I want to know. I want to say hi to you. This card's for everyone. I'm reading today with the Crystal Visions Tarot by Jennifer Galasso. This deck was gifted to me, but I know it came directly from the artist, and I just want to tell you, like, support individual artists. She put together this really nice little package. She sent it in a nice little, this cute little silky bag thing. Maybe it's satin. I think satin, not silk. Which is good because it doesn't hurt the little silkworms. Cute little satin bag thing. And put there's like a little quartz crystal, that she stuck in there with the deck, which is like really sweet. And it's just like a nice thing when you support the actual artist and the actual creator as much as you can and buy directly from them. Often you get a better result. Like they go the extra mile. You get that personal touch. And, it just makes such a difference. I will tell you, as a musician, that when you buy third party from a place like Amazon or iTunes or something, it translates to way less for us, the creator, than if you buy directly from us. And I know the same is true about deck creators and authors. So it's just something to think about. If you want to support the arts, the best way to do it is like buy directly from people. Buy from people you know. Anyhow. Judith says, I have been behind for 67 years. Today I am working on waking up. Big mood. I have had a coffee but no food, so I'm currently like, ooh, I'm kind of a sparky Rory today. All right. Let's talk about this coming week. What is the weather for this week? It is the Six of Wands. So remember I talked about building on progress made. Six of Wands is a card of accolades. It is a card of progress, and it is a card specifically of visible progress. It's not just about the progress that we journal about that's kind of boring to everyone but us, which certainly I have that kind of progress day to day. It's about like, yeah, you did this. Everyone's looking and they're impressed with you. It's that it's Instagram worthy progress. You may find yourself in public view this week. Often when this happens, we get instant cognitive dissonance, right? We get imposter syndrome, right? We get the feeling of like, oh gosh, who am I? They don't know that I really don't have it together, We get the feeling that we don't deserve things. We get the feeling sometimes that we're being recognized, but not as our true selves. That's a biggie for me. Hands up if you are like the person in school who was like, singled out as being a smart kid or whatever, and got recognized for things that maybe were true about you, but didn't make you feel like your real whole self was being recognized. Because that definitely was my vibe. Being recognized for things that aren't what I really care about. being recognized when I was in school as an academic achiever rather than as a creative human, and a deeply compassionate human, which is really what was deeply important to me, just not so much for my very academic high school. So this is about accolades. We actually are challenged when we receive positive feedback, and especially when we receive something akin to like publicity, right? When we're in the limelight, when we're having a 15 minutes of fame moment, it challenges us. It brings up our stuff. I'm always talking about this, how going after your dreams inherently is shadow work, because it brings up the parts of ourselves that feel like we have to stay small. It brings up our fears. So I invite you to ride that wave this week. I invite you to look at ways. First of all, I invite you to open your eyes to the idea that you are already important and impressive in someone else's eyes. I talked a little bit earlier about the Instagram feed and keeping up with the Joneses, and you like see people's photos and stuff go by, and you're like, oh God, they're doing so much. What am I doing? What have I done lately? Right? I want to put it out to you that you are that person for someone else. And I do this not to shame you, because we should celebrate and own our successes. But there is someone who is looking at you and looking at your accomplishments with the same level of like, oh God, look at how together that person is that you and I look at, our Instagram feeds with. You are that person for someone else. And I say this so that we realize like we're all connected and it's all intersectional, and there are things that we're all working on and struggling with, and there are things that we're all great at and succeeding at. And we have a tendency not to notice the areas in which we are succeeding and not to give ourselves credit for partial growth. That's a biggie, right? If we have a big goal and we're like, this is what I want, this is my 5-year plan, here's where I want to be, we tend to not give ourselves credit until we hit here. But all of this, every step along the way, you need that credit for your psychology, and so you know where to go, right? If you give yourself credit for a little bit of growth, you can be like, ooh, now that's something I can build on. Now I have momentum. Now I can make some strategic moves because I know this works and this doesn't work, and so I can get smarter and grow faster, right? We need to give ourselves credit for everything in our life, not just the things that we're currently struggling with. That's a big tendency for us. So I encourage you to give yourselves credit this week. I encourage you to open your eyes and accept compliments and look at where people are giving you credit this week. And I encourage you to say, as my friend Nico often says to me when I give her a compliment, she says, I believe you and you're right. It's a good practice to say that. And it's not because she's stuck up. It's because she is learning to value herself as other people value her. And that's really a beautiful thing that we can do for ourselves. I believe you and you're right. So when you receive positive feedback this week, believe it, own it, love it, and see it as something you can build on. Even if you're not exactly where you want to be. Are we ever exactly where we want to be? I hope not. Because then as soon as we are, we'll get bored. We'll want the next thing. Hi, Mom. Good to see you. All right, I see a couple of comments. I definitely see some cats. I'm going to be pulling some cards. Hey, Mary Jane, how are you? So good to see you. Guys, can everyone please send Mary Jane some like hearts and stars and loves, because I know she's got some dental stuff going on this weekend, and I just want her to have like a wonderful, like pain-free, easy, successful experience, so she just doesn't have to think about it again. Can everyone please like put light and good vibes around Mary Jane? Whatever you do, whatever kind of energy thing you do, send it at her, because she needs and deserves it. She's a wonderful human. Thank you and please. Please and thank you. All right, I'm going to begin pulling cards for people. The first cat was Nico. I hope you're still around, Nico. By the way, if you're tuned in watching the Witchy Weather Report and you're like, oh crap, I have to go, and you haven't pulled my card yet, don't worry, because the replay is always up. I keep them up forever and ever, amen. If you're on my Instagram, there's actually an Instagram series where it's the Witchy Weather Report, and it's dated, so you can find the date. I'm also on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, so you can always find that replay. All right, so Nico dropped a cat and Courtney dropped a cat. Then we have Judith. Then we have Mary Jane. Those are the cats of the day so far. Courtney says, positive vibes being sent, Mary Jane. All right, shuffling for a pull for Nico. If you missed it, our card for the week is the Six of Wands, meaning we may be receiving recognition and it may bring up dissonance for us because I just find this always happens. And I encourage you to let that be a teacher. Let your recognition be a teacher, right? We talk about falling up and learning from mistakes. People talk about learning from mistakes all the time. What if, mind blowing idea here, what if we learn from our successes? What if we learn from the way people see us positively, from the compliments we received? You know, from the ways we win. What if we learn from those things? What if we're like, wow, I'm good at that, and build on those things? And that doesn't mean I'm telling you to go down a trajectory that doesn't feel right. It means look at your skills and be like, wow, I am good at that, and acknowledge your strengths because your strengths are what are going to carry you through. It's so easy for us to hear like you work on your weaknesses, right? Learn from the mistakes so that you get better. But what if we focused on our strengths and really knocked it out of the park? Like what could we do? What would we be capable of if we did that? Mary Jane is sending hearts back to you, Courtney. I love being the little like between platform messenger because I do this on a few different platforms. I love how y'all support each other. Even if you can't see each other's comments, you're just like, whatever, I'm sending those vibes. Judah says hugs and light, Mary Jane. Okay, Nico, here is your card. 10 of Swords is your card. So I am going to submit to you that there is some sacred healing that you have an opportunity for right now. And sacred healing always means acknowledging pain. Deep pain, the big shit, you know, betrayal, the feelings that we are helpless and the feelings that we have been let down by those we trusted. That is the type of pain I'm talking about healing from now. And I want you to know that when this card comes up, it means that there is a chance for growth. It also means that the pain is over. Okay? It means that the thing that you feel broke you, which you're not broken, you're still okay, right? You're still around. The thing that you feel broke you, the thing that knocked you to the ground is in the past. And now all you have to do is heal. All you have to do is do the part where you recover and you become better and safe and feel whole again. And I know that's no small task, but I want you to know there's a crow on this card here overlooking this person who has been, you know, they've fallen on the floor, they've been pierced with a bunch of swords, as bad news bears. The crow is a messenger, and the crow is here to let you know that you are not alone and that the situation has changed. And that's not me dismissing your pain at all. It's me saying it's time to take a look and say, where am I still wounded? Because I am now safe to begin to tend those wounds. I am now in a position where I can put that behind me, by which I don't mean like toxic bypassing. I just mean I can acknowledge that this is in the past, and I can now say, okay, now my present is about taking care of myself. Now my present is about healing, and I am going to dedicate myself to my healing because I am worth it. So I'm sending you love, and I'm also sending you like lots of personal love because, you know, we're good friends and I'm here for you. So I just want you to know that. Courtney, I'm pulling a card for you. Oh, hey, Brittany, how you doing? Brittany says, I low-key love the Ten of Swords, and I also adore that you're using the deck I got you. Yeah, I was just talking, I don't know if you were around for it, I was just talking about how, like, the actual artist sent me this package, like, it had her name on the return address, and, like, she sent me this really nice little thing with a, you know, the nice little like satin bag and a little crystal in there, and how important it is to directly support artists. So anyway, you're awesome. In conclusion, you're doing it right. And thank you, because I love this deck like crazy. Okay. I am pulling a card for Courtney. Mary Jane says, dental canceled today because bone graft not ready, but thank you. Well, please continue to send good vibes to Mary Jane for whenever it does happen, and just for right now. Although it's so funny, like stuff like that, like dental work, which drives me crazy. I'm terrified of. It feels like a stay of execution when it gets canceled, but then it's like, oh, but I still have to do it. Stressful. I hope though that this gives you an opportunity to have a really special weekend that feels really replenishing and good. Okay, Brittany has dropped a cat in the chat. I got a couple cats on deck before you, but don't worry, I will get to you. Courtney, here is your card. Courtney, your card is the Queen of Pentacles. Now is a time to look at your own resourcefulness, which is formidable, and begin to create the foundation that you know you are worthy of. Worthiness is a key word with the Queen of Pentacles, and it can be thought of in very practical terms, like being paid what we're worth, being treated how we're worth in our base close relationships, which I know has been a theme for you recently. Showing up for our day to day, like sanity and comfort and joy. Pentacles are about the things that keep us stable so that we can grow. Pentacles are about our home life, our financial life, our close inner circle, those relationships that sustain us day to day or can make our day to day more anxious depending on what's going on in them, right? That's where you at. And the cards are really affirming you as a force of nature. They are really affirming you as someone who has the capability of creating a beautiful, strong foundation for yourself, and affirming that you already have the skills and know how to do this. Your only job now is to think like the queen that you are, to think as the Queen of Pentacles. What is it that I want to grow in my life? What is the foundation that will be most nurturing and nourishing for me at this time? And what small steps do I need to take to make that happen? And it usually is small steps, right? Because queens know, the Queen of Pentacles in particular knows that it is not burning yourself out and doing a million things that gets you there, but that you get there by doing a little bit every day and continuing to take good care of yourself, take good care of your body, take good care of your mental health, and continuing to do the things that replenish you so that each day you can give your best towards your goals and your dreams. The Queen of Pentacles knows that that basic practical approach is what gets it done. So that's you. Good work, Queen. Mary Jane says deck is just gorgeous. Yes, isn't it? I absolutely love this deck. It's so beautiful, and I'm so thankful. I had mentioned offhand to Brittany, oh, Crystal Visions Tarot. That's on my that's on my to get list, my endless list of decks that I really want, someday. And then it showed up in my mail. It was so sweet, and it was such a wonderful surprise. And I love it like more than I even knew I would love it. It's such a cool deck. It's both really easy to read with and unique, like it's different from, it's got the Rider-Waite kind of framework that I can connect to well because that's kind of what I learned on, but it has this, just the energy of it is such a healthy, affirming energy. All right. Yes. Courtney says, I'm fixing my crown. Big mood. Okay, Mary Jane and Judith. I think Judith was first. I'm not sure. I'm going to read for Judith, then I'm going to read for Mary Jane, then I'm going to read for Brittany. I am shuffling. I hope you enjoy my shuffling song. Oh, thank you for asking. Brittany says, what's the week card, by the way? The card for the week is the Six of Wands. This is about us making progress and building on our existing successes. It's also about us wrestling with what it feels like to be acknowledged for being successful, what it feels like to be acknowledged for our accomplishments, because society encourages us to be humble, to not acknowledge our accomplishments, to focus on our weaknesses, to learn from our mistakes, which is all, it's great to learn from your mistakes, of course, right? But right now we are being encouraged to see each other through the positive views of others, to see ourselves through the eyes of another's loving gaze, to see just what we are capable of, and to really affirm for ourselves that we have skills and resources that we don't always acknowledge when we're in the day-to-day struggle, and that we do deserve to be celebrated for those things. And that can be a can of worms. So ride that wave, just show up for it and see what you learn. Okay, Judith, here is your card. Your card is the World, my dear. So let's talk about the World, because the World is very much, this has come up for you before, hasn't it? And this is, I will say, the World has been stalking everyone I know for a couple of weeks now. It's come up a few times here in the Witchy Weather Report. If you're a patron, you know that it's come up a few times in our Discord server with our tarot bot, the Grayson Maid, Pixie. The World is big world energy right now. And let me tell you about that. right now we are all in a place where we are moving into a new chapter after a very crazy chapter, right? And in a global sense, we just had 2020, which lasted into at least the first half of 2021, right? And it dramatically changed our lives. And it just like, it didn't just change our lives, it was a tower moment for the entire world where things that we relied on as day-to-day structures really fell apart and had to be remade again. And when you make something again, it never looks the same as it did, which is good, right? Because hopefully we can learn from that. We can have a new normal. I'm someone who has been advocating in a big way for a new normal, a new normal that's more affirming, where more people have access to healthcare, where more people have access to having their basic needs met, where a crisis doesn't mean, oh God, maybe I'm homeless if I can't pay the rent, where more people are honestly treated as humans and respected, both on an individual level and like by our governments, right? I'm in favor of a new normal in a big way. And the world really indicates to us that we still have processing to do from this time. So I'm speaking globally, and I'll speak to you in particular in a moment, Judith, but I want everyone to know that the world energy is big right now. And what this means is that although everyone and their mother is like, yes, the world's open again, I can't wait, we're back to normal, or back to life, or now I can finally get to the things I wanted to do, or whatever, let's be real, we have some friggin' trauma to process. And it's not just trauma, it's I talk about learning from mistakes and learning from successes as well. What did we do to survive this very, very challenging, 18 months or so in the past? What was it that we do? Because we all had to dig deep. We didn't get a choice. We had to dig deep and survive in circumstances that probably felt pretty unsurvivable to many of us, and literally were unsurvivable to many people. So what is it? What did we learn about ourselves? That is a place where we are at. And it is a time when we are being urged from the universe not to just rush forward because you missed the lesson. If you experience a big traumatic event and you rush to the next thing because you feel like you have to now, that may feel like, and you might need to, right, to protect your brain a little bit. But that's how trauma gets pushed into our subconscious, and then we don't get to process it, and then maybe we have limiting beliefs in the future, and we can't help it. That's how it is sometimes. Sometimes that's the only thing we can do. But we're being encouraged right now to look back in as much as we can and create value from ourselves from this experience. And it might sound a little callous to talk about creating value from a global pandemic that, devastated the whole world. And when I say it, I don't mean it in a callous way. I mean it in a way of like, this was a huge, big event that will color us for the rest of our lives. And it's worth it for us as survivors and as compassionate people to try to find the learning in it, to try to like highlight our strengths, look for the helpers, look for the helper in ourselves, and look for the positive things we can take away so that we can move forward stronger rather than weaker than before. Because we actually are stronger. But we have to be able to acknowledge that. And this is where I'm going to bring it around to you personally, Judith, because you have had, as we all did, your own personal version of 2020 hell, right? 2020 was like, from everyone I know, it was like, okay, we have the global hell happening, and then we have our own personal hell. And you have not been untouched by that. And the world really encourages you to look back on that and to look back and say, like, all right, well, what can I gain from this? What can I gain from this time that certainly took its toll from me? How can I now get some value back? I look at it the same way I look at like, putting a crappy job that devalued you on your resume and getting points for it. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, this boss was toxic. This was a bad situation. I wasn't getting paid what I deserved, but you know what? I'm going to put it on my resume and write down every friggin' thing I did. And use it as a way to get paid better in the future, right? To lift myself up. And that's what I want to call out for you. Like, we face this really tragic thing, and I want to give ourselves course credit. I want to give you, Judith in particular, course credit for all the shit that you went through. And I want you to give yourself course credit and look back and realize what it means for you, and realize what it means you are capable of, and realize what it means I want you to identify the strengths that you didn't know you had. And I want you to celebrate those strengths. That's what we're at right now. We're in a celebration mode, 6 of Wands. And in so doing, help yourself rise better and faster and knock the next thing out of the court. That's where you're at right now. Okay. Judah says, "Whoa, no, I never got the world." Okay, it's just like the world has just been around. It's not just you. Okay. I see a couple of comments. Okay. Mary Jane says, "Deck just gorgeous." Yeah, I love this deck. It's so beautiful. Hey, Grayson, how you doing? Everyone is well. I think. I don't know. Why am I speaking for everyone? I'm well. How is everyone? Did I ask you this morning? How is everyone feeling? I often ask, but I think sometimes I say it kind of off the cuff, like, how is everyone feeling? And I want you to know that's not part of my greeting. I really want to know. I want to know how we're all feeling today because we support each other in this community. And I love the way we support each other. We show up with deep compassion for each other. We celebrate each other's successes and we send love when we're struggling. And it's beautiful. So how is everyone feeling today? Please tell me. Drop a comment. Let us know. All right, let's see who else is next. I pulled a card for you, Judith. Now Mary Jane, then Brittany, then Grayson. Judith says, I am in an antihistamine fog. Big mood. I haven't been outside yet today, and I'm terrified because allergies this year have been real. Rory says, I'm Rory. Brittany says, Rory, do you ever do any tarot education stuff? Yes, I do. I've done one-on-one tarot lessons. That's what I have ended up doing is a couple of people who are really interested in learning from me. I've tried to set up classes and that takes some forethought. You know, it takes some planning to launch a class and have it be worthwhile where enough people are showing up consistently and all of that. And I just haven't wanted to put the work in, you know, to do all the things that make that happen. But it has led to a couple people doing like one-on-one mentorships with me where I, you know, take them through the tarot. And it's actually been very rewarding for me because it can be super tailored. You know, some people need a complete primer of like, what are cups? What are pentacles? What are this? Some people, a student I worked with recently, like had been reading for herself but wanted to get to the next level with her intuition and wanted to gain more of a feeling of competence and familiarity with the cards so she wasn't you know, feeling like she had to look up definitions every time and kind of interrupt her intuition to do that. And so that was kind of our focus, and we did talk about the basics, right? We did talk about the wands and the cups and the suits and the major arcana, but we talked about it in a way that was right for her, and that was really, really cool. I really love teaching one-on-one. I will at some point probably do a tarot class if people are interested in it, but that might be a 2022 thing. I don't know. Unless enough people like overwhelm me. And unless enough people are like, Rory, no, we want a class now. Then I'd be like, okay, we'll figure it out. Brittany says, Ree, how are you doing? I've really been struggling emotionally. Can everyone please put some light around Brittany? Can everyone send some good vibes, loving, compassionate energy to Brittany? I'm sending you vibes of goodness. Grayson says, I'm good, just groggy. Big mood. I'm unusually awake because I'm caffeinated. I usually have a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays, which is unusual for me. I don't like to get up that early. Like, and to be awake for a 9 o'clock meeting, like, who? But I usually do that on Saturdays, and I had a cup of coffee with my meeting this morning, and I haven't eaten yet, so the coffee's like hitting. So I don't know. I'm a little woo. Mary Jane says white light to Brittany. Ondine, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. If you are just tuning in recently, I'll let you know that our card for the week for everyone is the Six of Wands. This is a week to try to see ourselves through the positive eyes of others. If you're finding that people are complimenting you or that you are getting positive feedback and attention, even if it's creating a cognitive dissonance for you, as it often does, I invite you to learn from that, to ride the wave. This is an opportunity to learn not from our mistakes, but from our strengths. This is an opportunity to own our strengths because the universe is literally going to be holding up signs and showing them to us. And it is up to us to own them. It's not just enough to be good at something. And I think there's like a real crappy mixed message that the media sends, which is that you always have to be pushing, you always have to be trying to better yourself and improve yourself, but you're never allowed to acknowledge it when you really have had a success. You know, it's the same way women are expected to spend a lot of time like making themselves beautiful and looking and acting a certain way, but if someone gives us a compliment, we're supposed to kind of like, oh no, you know, like we're not supposed to be like, thank you, I know. And the universe is inviting you to know. It is inviting you to know and own your strengths this week. So ride that wave. It can be challenging. We feel like, oh yeah, Six of Wands, that's the card I want. And it's always when a card comes up that's like a card you've been wishing for that you're like, oh, but now this brings up all my feelings. Ride the wave, learn from it. Mary Jane says, battling imposter syndrome this week. Big mood. All I can tell you is you might get more fuel to that fire because of the Six of Wands, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we're learning. You know, I like I think of learning as a spiral, and especially with imposter syndrome. I don't know. Does it ever go away? Does anyone ever beat imposter syndrome? No, but I think we can learn its tricks. You know, there's a lot of folklore about like tricking the devil, you know, and I'm not like I don't literally believe in the devil, but you know, there's a lot of folklore about you know, like the devil, like you know, the devil's after you, or the devil decides that you owe him for something and the devil's trying to mess with your life, and about like these figures that kind of like outsmart the devil. And I think that's the kind of learning that we need to do around things like imposter syndrome. It may never go away, right? We may never defeat it, but we can get smart enough to outsmart it. We can get smart enough to be like, all right, imposter syndrome, I see you over there. Let's have a beer because we're going to continue this merry battle and I'm going to keep winning. Brittany says, I would be interested in a one-on-one, but that's something we can talk about later if you're available for it. Yes, I'm super available. And I'm sorry, like I have a tendency of saying comments out loud, so I don't know if sometimes people don't want their comments shared out loud. But yes, absolutely message me. I would love that. All right. Pulling a card for you, Mary Jane. Then for you, Brittany, and then for you, Grayson. And then Ondine, if you want a card, I'll pull a card for you. I haven't seen a cat from you yet. Brittany, Judith is sending you hearts from Facebook. Okay. Mary Jane, let's talk about the Five of Cups, because it is time for you to acknowledge that you are in between your disappointments and your possibilities right now. And when I say in between, I really mean that this is two sides of the same coin, and it's hard for you because you might have a hard time taking a holistic view. It might be hard for you to look at both of them together because the reality is you have been disappointed. And I'm talking emotionally. You have been emotionally let down. Usually the Five of Cups indicates being let down by others. This can be a specific situation where maybe someone doesn't respond to you in the way that you expected them to during a conversation, and it hurts you and you feel like, oh wow, that's not what I expected, how I expected things to go with you. And it can also be a long-term situation. Like I think a lot about, I'm just going there today. I think a lot about being let down by the patriarchy. I think about being, raised with a lot of these kind of sexist ideals of like happily ever after, and what it means to like have a dream and go after it and be loved for who you are. And in reality, like facing all of these kind of like bogus, misogynistic cultural expectations that 100% haven't gotten away, and also are coupled with like, harassment culture and rape culture and things like that have made me at times feel very cynical, feel like, wow, I can't just be this wide-eyed person, like living my best journey of my life, like the fool in the tarot, because people will take advantage of me. And that's a disappointment that is real, and yet it's also real that I can go after my dreams, right? And it's also real that I can experience, wide-eyed wonder, and boundaries are a big part of that, by the way. But it's hard. It's hard to see that both things are true. That's what's challenging for our brains. When our brain is in disappointment mode, all we see is a disappointment, It's so easy, and it's real, like it's easy to look around and be like, wow, I just see sexism everywhere. And it's not just sexism, by the way, it's every type of social inequity that occurs, and structural racism and everything, and ableism, and you name it. It's really easy to feel very betrayed by a world that promised us more and let us down. When we look around and see all of that, both structurally and individually, right? When a person, like when something comes out of someone's mouth that we thought we could trust, and we're like, wow, you really said that. And at the same time, we have the possibility of making beautiful connections that surprise us in a really positive way. And we have the possibility for creating communities that are really special to us. And I count this community as one of those communities, by the way. I've been having this beautiful epiphany this week that part of my life path is about community building, because I haven't felt supported by, in my youth, I should say, I didn't feel supported by a community that acknowledged me for my whole self. And my mission in life has been about creating community that acknowledges each person as their whole selves and celebrates it, rather than trying to get anyone to assimilate. I'm about the patchwork quilt, not the melting pot. And anyway, to bring this all back around to you, Mary Jane, it's challenging to see both things at once. It's challenging to see, yes, there are beautiful possibilities in life, and I can make them and create them for myself and others. And yes, there are things that are deeply disappointing in life, and always will be. Like, it's never going to not be disappointing. You're never going to have a perspective and be like, oh, I guess it was okay after all. No, like, some things just really did suck. And some people really do act shitty. And your job right now is to acknowledge that you are bigger than those things and those disappointments, and that your possibilities and your strengths and your wholeness is the takeaway. And so I'm just gonna show you this beautiful card for a minute. This is the Five of Cups, because I want to show you these cups in the water that represents disappointments. You see this person's like only halfway, kind of sitting on the edge of the water, feeling like, oh, how can I make myself vulnerable again? But if you look, there are these two beautiful bright cups in the sky. This represents possibility. So encourage you to embrace your possibilities and to own your disappointment, not to cover them up, not to pretend they're not real. I don't want spiritual bypassing. I want you to be allowed to have your friggin' feelings. And I want you to know that as deeply as you've been disappointed, you can also be awed and wowed in a positive way by life. Hey, Savannah, how are you? Good to see you. We're going deep today on the Witchy Weather Report, friends. All right. Who am I reading for? Sorry, I got real lost in that card. You're welcome, Mary Jane. I believe Brittany and then Grayson. Let's see. I saw Ondine and Savannah both drop in, but I haven't seen cats from them. Ondine, Savannah, if you would like to get a card, let me know. Drop a cat. Brittany, I'm going to shuffle for you at this time. I want to let you all know, too, I do, I think you all know this, I do individual readings. I usually do PDF readings where I pull cards for you and send you a PDF so we don't have to worry about our schedules. And then you get the PDF to look back on over the next few weeks, which a lot of people have told me is very powerful. So I do that. The best way to order a reading like that for me, if you want like an in-depth full reading, is through my Etsy shop. That link is scrolling across the bottom there. It's Sassafras Tarot on Etsy. It's also in my Instagram bio. Or just message me. Like you can just message me and we'll figure it out. But also, if you're a Witchy Weather Report person, which you are, pop that in as your discount code, Witchy Weather Report, all one word, and you get 10% off. Oh, thank you. Savannah says, and her readings are so thorough, and also drops a couple of sparkle heart emojis. Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's my Virgo thing. I am a Virgo sun and a Libra moon. So yes, I am the person who's going to be thorough and going to cover all angles. I literally can't help it. For better or worse. And believe me, it has been both. Oh, and Brittany says, I definitely appreciated my PDFs. Good, I'm so glad. I'm the kind of person, again, maybe it's the Virgo sun, the Libra moon, I don't know. I am the person who, when I read for myself, I journal and I write, my thoughts, and it really means a lot to me to get to like revisit those a few times as I'm actually going through time. All right. Brittany, here is your card. Brittany says, I forget things a lot, so having a physical copy as well helps me a ton. Yeah, I feel that because me too. And also, I feel like sometimes we're not ready to process information in the moment. That's something that has been challenging. Like for me, getting traditional tarot readings, like where you're face to face and you're sitting with someone at a table or whatever, which I do and I enjoy. I used to do, I guess, before 2020 at things like festivals and stuff like that. What's great about it is you get this like one-on-one conversation and you get, the direct compassion of another human and all of that. And what's tricky about it is it's a lot of information to digest at once. And I don't know that we are capable of taking, like, we're not a computer, right? Like, I think our brains are kind of built to look through that information and be like, okay, what's relevant right now? And that's our takeaway from a conversation. And so we can miss things that are really important that maybe we're just not ready to process yet. So I think having, a PDF or a journal entry or whatever, like I have people that I read face to face with who take notes, that it really helps. It helps to look back and be like, oh wow, I glossed over this the first time, but now it's coming into my life. Now it's coming into my consciousness. Oh, you guys are the sweetest. Mary Jane says, the readings are so on point and helpful. Can't recommend enough. I didn't pay these people. They're just sweet. Thank you, everyone. All right, I know I've been threatening to pull a card for you for a while, Brittany. Here's your card. The Lovers. Brittany, when the Lovers comes up, I often have a different interpretation than a lot of people because it can be a relationship card. But 9 times out of 10 with my people, and by my people I mean the types of people that I think I am meant to be connected to, that I'm meant to serve in my life, that I kind of naturally am drawn to and are drawn to me. 9 times out of 10, when the Lovers comes up for my people, it is a real call from the universe to be in a loving relationship with yourself, to treat yourself with the tenderness and compassion and understanding that you would treat a lover or a beloved child or a dear friend that you've known since grade school. It's to especially like cut yourself slack. That's a big one. When someone that we love is having a crappy day and they kind of lash out at us and we're like, yeah, I know you're having a crappy day. I love you anyway. Like we kind of are able to be a little benevolent about it because we love them and we get it, as long as it's not every second. You know what I mean? To extend that compassion to us. That sometimes we're going to have crappy days and we don't have to beat ourselves up every second on top of the crappy day we're having. And that we're allowed to have things we need to heal from, and we don't have to beat ourselves up from not already being healed, because that's not how it works. If you went into the doctor and the doctor was like, you're sick and you're still sick, like what's wrong with your stupid body? That wouldn't be good healthcare. It's really about compassionate care and showing up tenderly for ourselves and for the parts of ourselves that are triggered or in trauma or feel broken or feel hopeless, and just showing up with deep love and tenderness for ourselves, literally taking ourselves in hand. That's a phrase I use a lot, by the way. I talk about taking myself in hand, and I invite people to take themselves in hand, and I mean it the way you would take a lost little kid in hand. If there was like if you're like at a carnival, right, and a little kid is like, I can't find my mommy, the way you would like take their hand and be like, we're gonna go find your mom. I invite you to lovingly nurture yourself, to be the grown-up to yourself. And I don't mean the strict disciplined grown-up, because we get enough of that messaging. I mean being the loving, tender grown-up, the empress, the loving mother figure that takes you in hand and says, it's going to be okay. We're going to figure this out together. You're not alone. It's hard now, but you're not alone. That's what we really need to know when we're vulnerable. And we need to be a safe space to be vulnerable with ourselves. Often we can be our own worst enemy. Often our vulnerability is met from the world with attacks, with shame, with judgment, and we don't need to put more of that on ourselves. We need to give ourselves compassion. So, be your own lover. This is my invitation to you. If you struggle with it, look at how you love other people and look at how other people love you, and ask yourself if you can emulate it. Faking it till you making it is a valid strategy. When I was learning how to be a friend to myself, which I absolutely did not learn from the world around me when I was growing up, I learned in my 20s. And I really, literally, I did it like a Virgo sun, Libra moon. I took notes, I was like, okay, well, I see that sometimes people do this to show that they care about each other. What if I tried that with me? It was that basic for me. And I slowly learned what helped and what didn't, and it's like, okay for it to be that bite-sized and small, you know. Savannah says, notes are everything. Big mood. Also, that card is so beautiful. Yes, isn't this the most beautiful deck? Crystal Visions Tarot. I just love it. Jennifer Glasso is the artist. Okay, who am I reading for? I'm reading for you, Grayson. Grayson sent me a cat. And then I'm out of requests unless someone else would like to send me a cat. I know I saw Savannah and Andy, and if either of you would like a reading, let me know. I don't mean to nag you about it. If you don't want a card, that's okay. So everyone knows I offer these readings freely every Saturday. Witchy weather report from 11 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern time. I get to as many people as I can. 9 times out of 10, I get to everyone, but there have been times when I can't, in which case I tell people, like, just tune in next week and I'll move you to the front, you know, or whatever. I offer these readings freely. I do have a virtual tip jar. It's Venmo at Rory Kelly, RORIEKELLY, my name. And you are welcome to throw me some love in the virtual tip jar, but that's appreciated always and expected never. Some folks have been generous. I'm very, very grateful. And I just thank all of you for being in my world, being in my community, and getting to do this every week. It's really, really, not to be like this like woo-woo person, but I'm like, it's really affirming for me. It is affirming for me. It's beautiful for me as someone who didn't feel when she was younger that she had a community. I think I told you my life's mission is to create those community spaces where everyone feels affirmed just as they are, not asked to change, just affirmed as they are. And it's beautiful to see this community. It's beautiful to see the way we support each other and show up for each other. So thanks, guys. Okay, Grayson, I'm reading for you, and then I did get a cat from Savannah. I did get a cat. I'm like, imagine if I really got imagine if they were real cats, I'd be overrun. Brittany says, I love this comment. I need to figure out how to love myself as an Aquarius sun, Aries moon, which I guess is loudly. I absolutely love that. That does feel like loudly, right? Like, hello, you beautiful weirdo. You're fabulous. Don't fuck around and pretend otherwise. You're the best. Like belligerent love. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I love that. Judith, by the way, speaking of affirmations, there are never too many cats. That's true. Did y'all know I haven't had a cat for about 6 months because my cat mama passed away, sadly, at the beginning of the year. And I was waiting until I was ready, you know. And I'm going to get a kitten. I have a friend, my sister's husband's friend or something, you know, someone knows someone who has a cat who's having kittens, and one of them has my name on it. So I'm excited. It's not going to be for a while because the cat's still pregnant, and then, you know, the babies have to stay with their mom for a little while. So probably like October, I'm going to have a little kitten again. I'm very excited. I'm not going to literally have a kitten because that would be, whoa, what's going on there? Brittany says, that's a great imitation of how I show love to other people, actually. Well, I approve. I love belligerent love. I love belligerent positivity. Oh, everyone's saying yay and squee about the kitten. Yes, I'm very excited. And congratulations. Thank you. I'm really, I'm psyched. I'm psyched to open my heart again. I really am, though. I'm a big softie. Grayson, here is your card. The Empress. Oh my gosh, I was just talking about the Empress. I was just talking about that nurturing, mom-like Empress energy. Let's talk about the Empress. And for you, I want to talk about the Empress and abundance and possibility. Because, and I'll let you all know about like something about how I read. I was just reading this post in a tarot group that I was in the other day about esoteric readers, which I would define as like Hermione Granger readers, like the readers who like have read every book about it, you know, like, and know all the definitions and all the symbolism and everything. And intuitive readers, and the far extreme of intuitive readers is I literally have never read a tarot book in my life. I just look at the cards and the pretty pictures and I say whatever comes to my head. That's an intuitive reader. And I really have a mixture of both approaches. I think it's very important to like learn the basics and to educate yourself and give yourself a strong foundation, mainly because it helps, you know, it just helps, and it's exciting and fun for me. But I also am an intuitive reader in that I also spend time, and my grandmother taught me this. My grandmother was a very gifted reader. Taught me to look at the cards and say what I see. That was one of the most important pieces of advice she had ever gave me. And it didn't mean never learn anything. You know, it meant don't be afraid to access your own intuition. You're not incorrect if the feeling you get about a card isn't the exact definition. Because there are actually like really multiple ways to interpret every single card, and your intuition is the thing that's going to guide you to the right one. And so that's really like the hybrid way that I read. I have spent a great deal of time studying. I'm always studying because I'm a nerd. I'm always reading. I'm always learning. Making my way slowly through Bennabelle Wen's Holistic Tarot, and I love it. Such a great book for a tarot nerd. But also intuition. You know, also I'll look at a card, and if the feeling I get is completely opposite to the, you know, official keyword meaning or whatever that people tend to say for the card, I'm going to think about that, and I'm going to express that when I read for you. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Your card is the Empress, and I want to talk about the Empress as a figure of abundance and creation and possibility. Okay, I see we're being spammed by someone named Hippie Tarot right now on Facebook. I'm going to ban that person. Give me just a quick minute. Let's talk about the Empress. People talk about the Empress as a mom card. I don't know about you all. For me, that has been challenging to relate to because I am a woman who does not intend to become a mother. And yet I still wish to nurture and embody Empress qualities within me. The qualities of abundance, the qualities of practical manifestation, the qualities of knowing my own strength, and nurturing and being compassionate and kind. Those are the chief qualities that the Empress has. So yes, there is mom energy with the Empress, but to me, I often convert it to like the mom friend energy, which I, you know, am happy to embody. But I want to talk about the Empress as a manifester, because the Empress is at once deeply practical and deeply full of possibilities. The Empress dreams big because the Empress knows that she is capable day to day. About to report this person. Hang on. Boom. Okay. I'm sorry, Facebook friends who've been getting spammed by this Hippie Tarot person. I just banned them. Okay. The Empress knows what she is capable of. The Empress knows that have been experiences that have required her to dig deep and show up in ways she didn't know she could, and then she surprised herself and found that she absolutely was strong enough. And the Empress takes those takes those experiences as gifts, knows like, you know what, I have many capabilities, I have many skills, and every day I'm learning, and every day I'm getting better, and I believe deeply, this is another thing about belief as a tool, that whatever shows up for me, I will be ready for. Because I have a track record, and every day I'm building that track record. And so, not only does the Empress deeply invest in practical care of herself and others, practical care in terms of like self-care and, you know, taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, and, you know, your finances and all of that. Also, the Empress is a big dreamer. The Empress dreams sky high, and the Empress does not limit her dreams. The Empress is like, whatever, I can friggin' do it. It might take me a while. It might be a one day at a time thing because I have other things in my life and I need to take care of myself along the way. But there's no reason to think I couldn't reach the stars. The Empress is a super dreamer, and I encourage you to both acknowledge those deeply practical skills, that resourcefulness that you have innately, and your track record for that, and all that you've built upon from the things that life has thrown at you, all the skills that you've built as a result of those things, and translate it into big, fat dreams. I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to dream big and take care of yourself deeply at the same time like the Empress does. Savannah says, I love your hybrid style. It's well-rounded. Thank you. I just can't help it. I swing both ways in every area of life. It really is. I'm destined. Judith, we need to get together and you need to tell me what part of my chart explains that, because I am destined to be a bridge in my life of understanding multiple perspectives and kind of embodying multiple perspectives. I can't help it. All right, I'm scrolling up, and I'm sorry about the spam, but I think I banned the person, so you shouldn't get any more comments from them. Sorry about that. Brittany says I'm also a hybrid, and I need to spend more time with that book. Yeah, Holistic Tarot for me. If you're not familiar with Benabel Wen, she's amazing. You should subscribe to her YouTube channel, or just like visit her website, read her blog. She's really smart, really thoughtful, and really detail oriented. And she came out with a book called Holistic Tarot. And when I tell you, this thing is like a tome. I'm someone who loves to read and learn, and has been frustrated by, like, there's so many 101 level books, about tarot and witchcraft and what have you. And when you want to progress beyond 101, there's not as many options. And like Holistic Tarot is the answer to that. It's this huge, it is like a tarot Bible. It is ginormous, and it's a lot of information, and it's very well thought out and very well organized. And it's like a syllabus. And so I'm the same way. Like, I'm reading it very, very slowly, but that feels right to me. Like I absorb a little bit at a time. It's like a beautiful gift to spend time with that book. Brittany also says, sometimes I get a lot of really happy feelings with the Ten of Swords, so thanks for the validation there. Yeah, big mood. I think it's two things, and I don't know. Well, I don't want to put feelings in your mouth or whatever, but I do feel like the Ten of Swords always means the thing is over, right? Like, the pain is over. You're not getting it. It's done. You experienced the pain. You experienced the betrayal. So it could just be like, whew, longest possible time before I have to go through that again, right? Like, we were talking about dentistry. Like, when I leave the dentist's office, after a cleaning or whatever, like, I am at my happiest because I'm like, this is now the longest possible time before I have to go to the dentist again. So I think that's a part of it. And I think it's also like knowledge, like, hey, I made it through this, and now I can start to heal, like we learn our own strength. Anyway, okay, continuing to read comments, and then don't worry, Savannah, I'm going to pull a card for you, and then I'm going to skedaddle after that. Brittany says, mom feelings are really difficult for me to relate with because mom is a painful thing to me in every context. So the Empress has been really difficult for me to relate with or understand. Big mood. Same. I really feel that way as well. I feel like it's an archetype that has impacted me negatively as much as it has positively. It's, I don't know. It's just challenging. And for a lot of years, I would get the Empress and I'd just be like, I feel actually similarly about the Emperor, because to me the Emperor often represents patriarchy, and I'm like, don't want any of that. I look at the Emperor and the Empress sometimes as like the status quo of heteronormativity, and it's like, but which, by the way, are valid interpretations, and it's worthwhile to have that in a deck. But I actually spent about 6 months working with the Empress because it came up for me, like the universe wanted me to work with the Empress. And like, I put her on my altar and spoke to her every day. And I needed a way to relate to that energy without associating it with motherhood, because so many interpretations of the Empress are just like the mom card, mom, 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 mom. And you know what? We can identify those beautiful traits of being nurturing and compassionate and practical and abundant, without having to attach it to this like gendered stereotype. And that has been freeing for me personally. Okay. The Floyd says, when you really dive deep into the tarot, all you see is the same thing you look at. I don't know what you mean by that. I would love if you'd clarify that question, because I'm curious. Brittany says, I literally judge decks partially based on the Emperor and the Hierophant. Interesting. Isn't that interesting? Like, we all have I definitely have cards that I'm like, I need to see this card in the deck. That's really interesting. Judith says, big nurturer energy. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm going to pull a card for you, Savannah. And the Floyd says, I don't know either. Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on my teeny tiny YouTube channel. It's so tiny that I don't even have like a vanity URL yet. You'd have to just search for me. So thank you for finding me. I'm grateful. Oh, Savannah says mine is Temperance. That's the card she has to look at, when she's considering a deck. That's so interesting. I also have decks I absolutely love that have one or two cards that I'm like, oh, hate that take, though. The Floyd says, "Can you pull the Fool card for me?" Yeah, I'll scroll through this and show you the Fool in just a moment, and then I gotta skedaddle everyone because it's after closing time for the Witchy Weather Report, and I got gigs today. Savannah, here is your card. Queen of Wands, big queen energy this week. Let's talk about the Queen of Wands, also a master manifester. The Queen of Wands manifests with passion. The Queen of Wands is a fiery entity. The Queen of Wands knows and owns the heck out of her skills. Queen of Wands and Six of Wands, by the way, very related for me because the Six of Wands often brings up imposter syndrome for us, right? It brings up like, wow, I'm receiving accolades, but I don't know that I'm worth it. You know, that kind of feeling. Because the Six of Wands is about external celebration, that external validation. The Queen of Wands, however, has completely internalized it. The Queen of Wands is like, yeah, you all love me and you're right. And it's not narcissism. I want to draw a very fine line. Queen of Wands reversed could be, right? But the Queen of Wands acknowledging her gifts and her strengths and her beauty and her just get it doneness, her badassery, that's not the Queen of Wands being narcissistic. That's the Queen of Wands honestly embracing all that she is, owning her power. That is what the Queen of Wands comes down to, is power and owning it and wielding it, therefore, as her best self. You know what I mean? Because when we refuse to connect to our power, it doesn't come out in healthy ways. We become accidentally manipulative because we don't acknowledge that we can have effects on other people. So we behave in toxic ways because we assume it won't have an effect anyway, right? The Queen of Wands owns her power. The Queen of Wands knows she is effective. The Queen of Wands knows she has an impact on others just by existing sometimes. And the Queen of Wands thinks deeply about that and thinks about how to use that as her best self and for her biggest dreams. So that is the energy you are encouraged to embody this week, Savannah, to, you know, own that Queen of Wands energy, to own your strengths, own how much of a, you know, badass you are, how accomplished you are, how impressive you are to other people. That's such a trigger for so many people. Like, me, impressive? No, I can't acknowledge that. Maybe it's time to acknowledge that there are ways in which you impress others. So there you go. All right. I'm gonna just for you, the Floyd, I'm gonna, if the Fool or the Tower, whichever one I can find first, I'm gonna pull and show you, and then I'm gonna get out of here. I usually close up shop at 12 noon Eastern time. And I do have to run today because I have a gig to get to. Here's the Tower in this deck, which actually, again, like, beautiful, earth-shattering, but beautiful. It really calls to mind, like, the deep beauty of, like, a destructive storm in this deck. I really think it's gorgeous. And then, let's see. The Floyd says this sounds like a collective. We kind of are a collective, honestly. Like, the Witchy Weather Report is every Saturday, and the folks who show up, like, there's a lot of regulars, and we really support the heck out of each other. It's very loving. So join us. Come back next week. Be part of our collective. We're friendly and we're positive, but we are not toxic bypassers. We like each other just as we are. We support each other in our challenging times, and we celebrate each other's successes. As above, so below. I'm looking for the Fool for you. Maybe I've passed it already. Here we go. This is the Fool in this deck. Another really beautiful card, sort of a similar to the usual Fool vibes, like, you know, woman on the edge of a cliff, dipping a toe in the water of possibility, about to go on an adventure. Also surrounded by butterflies. There's a lot of butterflies in this deck, really representing to me like possibilities and hope and dreams. The Light Workers, says the Floyd. I don't know too much about that term. I don't claim it for myself because I've kind of read about, like, what does it mean to be a light worker, and I always kind of read a vague definition, which I can get with. But some people who call themselves light workers, they do the toxic positivity thing of, like, love and light, don't be negative. And it's like, let's be real. Sometimes we have negative experiences, and in order to heal and grow from them, we need to, you know, acknowledge them. We need to live in them for a minute so that we can have that growth. So I don't know. It's an interesting phrase, and I don't have if you identify as a light worker, then I'm all for it. I haven't, like, aligned myself with it because I'm just like, I'm not sure. For me personally. All right, friends. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Y'all are wonderful. I'll be back again next week, same bat time, same bat channel, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. I think it's 4 p.m. British time, UK time, I think. Other times in other places, right here, wherever you're watching this, please ring that notification bell, hit subscribe, hit follow, hit whatever buttons there are to press, press those buttons. And I will see you again soon. Farewell, my loves. I'm going to close with this really awesome comment from the Floyd. We are all in the dark. Someone has the light. I like that. And I am going to add for you that you are the light for somebody. You are the light bearer for somebody. And maybe you don't even know it. And I think that's what's beautiful about this community. We all bring light to each other's darkness. Farewell, everyone.